So we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance, and the only people that were on it were these couple people.
All manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime for everyone.
And about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour, I'll say about an hour in, start feeling real jittery and shaky.
Cassie has now placed a major demand on Diddy for all that she endured and everything she was forced to disclose in court, leaving High deeply concerned.
Prompted this investigation by the Southern District, and now Sean Combs stands before the court as a convicted felon of 2 federal crimes. He faces significant incarceration. Not the exact outcome that we wanted, but we are grateful to the jury for finding a guilty verdict on those 2 federal crimes. No amount of money is going to ever undo what she had to endure and what she had to go through. So I think both she and I didn't really take well to that as her being a winner. And frankly, the fact of the matter is that when she testified, she had already been paid $30 million. So she had no vested interest in anything other than telling the truth on that witness
Everything
stand.
is reaching a breaking point because of Cassie. Diddy is requesting the judge to either overturn his conviction or grant him a completely new trial, and he's making this move even before sentencing. In a 62-page legal filing submitted Wednesday night, his attorneys argue that the federal government acted unjustly, insisting the conviction is not only flawed but also unconstitutional and unprecedented. What's clear now is that this verdict carries some truly devastating consequences, especially for Diddy's victims.
Given their verdict, but this case, far from over, grab your snacks as we talk about how much time is he getting in the clank. At this point, we all know that Diddy was convicted on 2 counts of transportation of ladies and gentlemen of the night. This crime holds a maximum sentence of 10 years. There's no minimum, but he was found guilty on 2 counts. So in a perfect world with simple math, he's facing up to 20 years in prison, but it's not that simple. Our judicial system calls themselves trying to be fair, so there's a grid or like a chart where you have guidelines based upon your criminal history. You think it's fair that if this is your first conviction that you should potentially face the same amount of time as if this is someone's 3rd or 4th. So the chart, actually here's the chart right here. So this is the U.S. Sentencing Commission table, and this is Diddy's first conviction, believe it or not. So he will definitely fall right here in this first column. So in this very first section where you see offense level, you see zone A, B, C, and D, well, prosecutors are going to try to get to the highest zone that they can.
In court, prosecutors argued that Diddy oversaw a circle of close staff members who coerced women, including singer Cassie Ventura and another identified only as Jane, into attending inappropriate parties featuring adult entertainers. These gatherings, known as freak-offs or hotel nights, became a central focus of the case. One adult entertainer has even shared his personal account of being involved in Diddy's so-called freak-offs.
Cassie and Diddy.
Yeah, bro. Crack is whack, bro. Like I definitely for me, I am the worst crackhead that you will ever see in your life. I can't do no kind of drug, because he is so. I can't remember if it was Cassie or him that initially asked me if I wanted to try it. I believe it was her. She asked me if I ever tried it before, but they was both standing there together. And I was like, no. And I think he was like, yo, you want to try it? It's going to make you feel real nice. You're going to feel relaxed. You're going to feel like, like partying. And so I was like, man, I won't quit drugs like that, but I mean, I guess, whatever. So I tried it. I mean, at this point, I've been with them for long enough. They're not hiding their identity no more. I'm just shooting the shit with Cassie all the time now. Like, every time that we're together, we talking for hours and shit. So I feel a level of trust. And so I take this pill. And about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour. I'd say about an hour in, start feeling real jittery and shaky and real chattery talking to her. And so I guess I annoyed him. And he was like, yo, I think you need a break. So he was like, yo, I'm gonna pay you a little something. Go, get something to eat or whatever, and we're gonna hit you back when you feeling a little bit less like chatty. And so I left, out the joint. She lived like by the BMW building on 59th Street and like a 10th, 11th Avenue, West End Avenue.
It's Weston.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened, bro. Like it literally felt like 3 minutes later, my ass was in Times Square.
I told you about my situation. I was throwing up on the bathroom floor. I was messed up. They put me out of the hotel and sent me out into the street to go home. Dude, I'm throwing up all over the floor and I'm delirious. That's why that situation happened. Why I ended up walking from the Trump and Columbus Circle all the way down to Union Square. Because he put me out there with no regard for what was going to happen to me once I left that hotel. And now that I know what was going on, I see how little they actually regarded us as human beings. They just looked at us as teachers that they could use.
Studies, lawyers have pushed back, insisting the events were entirely consensual among adults and simply part of a shared lifestyle. They also argue that the women are only coming forward now in an effort to get money from him. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges. In their latest filing, his legal team points out that no one in the U.S. has ever been convicted under the Mann Act in circumstances like his. They claim that if prosecutors had limited the case to just the 2 transportation-related charges, the trial would have unfolded very differently and focused far less on violence. Recently, Diddy's lead attorney gave an eye-opening interview about the issue.
The other component that we know the judge is very concerned about, and that is your client's propensity for violence. Even you yourself acknowledge that in the closing arguments of the case, with what happened to Cassie on the video that the world saw, and in the instances with Jane. How can you reconcile your position now in this motion for bail, that he should be free and is not a danger to the public, when we know these instances happened in the past?
So I think the key thing with what you said is that it happened in the past. I mean, the only instance that we have in recent memory was one, and the trial evidence showed this, where Jane essentially, started a fight with Mr. Combs, smashed his head against the counter, threw glasses at him. Jealousy was always a feature of their relationship, and Jane was jealous of his relationship with another woman. And so that was about 14 months ago that happened. But other than that, everything dates back, a number of years, 2018 and before. And as we made, the point we made in the bail application as well is, Mr. Combs is seeking counseling for domestic violence before he was arrested. He was attending a program here in New York. And we really wish that he could have stayed in that program, but the federal government arrested him and then he was in jail and he couldn't continue with this very outstanding program, which I believe he'll come back to if he's released. And that's really, I started my career in the Manhattan DA's office, and I would see, all manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime for everyone involved. It's difficult, obviously, for the victim, who has to live in fear from one of the people in her lives that she's closest to, or he's the closest to. But what I saw in the DA's office is that these were not resulting in lengthy prison sentences. These were resulting in appropriate, treatment programs, self-awareness, therapy, things like that. And I think this is what Mr. Combs needs, rather than an extended time.
This conviction is unique, but it should not exist at all, wrote Diddy's attorney, Alexander Shapiro. The defense argues that prosecutors have tried to portray Diddy as a villain from the very beginning. For months, they accused him of running a decades-long criminal operation and harming multiple women, according to the filing. Yet after a trial, the jury dismissed those claims, leaving Diddy convicted only on 2 lesser charges. The defense further points out that these charges don't even require evidence of coercion, threats, or deception. Still, the question remains: if Diddy is released, how does the government intend to keep him in check?
He's allowed to live in his home in Miami. I should say it's a mansion. It's really a mansion, as he awaits his sentencing in October. Now, the bond would be co-signed by 3 financially responsible people. His travel would be limited. It'd be limited to Florida and to New York, and his passport would be surrendered. His lawyers say if necessary, they would even add in home detention, so electronic monitoring, private security, mental health treatments, also substance abuse treatment, and electronic surveillance to make sure that he stays where he's supposed to.
Government contended that Diddy violated the law simply by facilitating travel across state lines for a longtime girlfriend or a paid entertainer for intimate purposes. Essentially, that's what the filing says he was convicted of, and nothing beyond that. Diddy's attorneys emphasize there was no financial incentive and that all participants were consenting adults. However, multiple corroborating reports suggest that this portrayal may not fully reflect the reality of the situation.
To remember, she made it very clear he had been at her since she was like 18, 19 years old. It didn't become so-called official till her 21st birthday. She was already something. Matter of fact, if I'm correct, I believe that's the night that Britney Spears was there at that party as well, and they said that she was seen let's be Diddy, half out of her door. And Diddy was joking about what he had done with her. But I guess, we want to skip over all of that. So she started out as an employee. All of the beatings, because there were more than the beatings that we saw on that tape. Which, by the way, I also sat here on this couch and said, he was beating that girl, he was raping that girl, put the boots to that girl, and dared her to say anything. And you said, why would he do that? Because I said, because he thinks he's God. Now, we all saw that tape come out on my birthday, May 17th, 2024. And even though that was the first time I had seen that tape, it sounds like I described exactly what he was doing to that girl without me seeing it. How could that be possible? How could I be that right? Could I guess that good?
How did you know, Jack?
Once again, everyone knew. Everyone knew. Just like the witness who came forward, who was too afraid when the grand jury came forward, who wanted her to testify. And she decided she was going to fall back, hoping that the government had enough from all the raids, because they should have been able to make the case stick with everything that we know that they found during those raids. They had more than enough evidence. Funny how none of it made it to court.
During the trial, both women testified that they felt pressured to comply with Diddy's wishes. Cassie Ventura stated she didn't want to participate in the parties, but feared refusing because Diddy controlled her career and finances. She also told the court that he had been physically violent toward her, supported by surveillance footage from 2016 showing him acting aggressively, a video first released by CNN in May 2024. Despite this evidence, the jury did not convict him of trafficking either woman.
Okay.
His attorney told the world basically, like, yes, Diddy is a swinger. He can't just go out into a swinging party. He may have to hire people to come into his world to do those swingers things.
A swingers party with as many different people as he had at those parties. And understand this, these sessions that he's talking about swinging, there were multiple men. It wasn't just one-on-one action. And I don't know why they're all lying about it. Like, they're all lying through their mouth. And anybody who doesn't want to see that, well, then that's just on them. But I'm going to tell you something right now. If he really wanted to sue Cassie because he was upset about a baby deletion and all the diseases that she gave him and all of the terrible things that she did to him, why did he have to wait for her to sue Diddy?
I think he waited for the testimony and Cassie opened that door.
No, if he was so, he said he had always intended to go after her. He planned on coming after her, and it was Tyrone Blackburn that stopped him.
I mean, $30 million changes a lot.
$30 million changes a lot. Come on now. You got VD and all of that, but you had to wait for her to get some money in order for you to want to come forward? That doesn't make any sense, especially when you're a money-grubbing little hoe like him. And he is a money-grubbing little hoe. He's enjoying his press tour, talking about how he might not be the best looking, but he was the best in bed. How would she know as high as she was?
He said they had an 8-year run, like 8 years.
Yeah, And in those 8 years, he didn't mind getting burned and coming back.
Diddy's legal team argues that the jury's decision shows they didn't view the women as victims of trafficking or abuse. They note that convictions under the Mann Act are uncommon when the defendant didn't profit from the activity, wasn't directly involved, and had no intent to harm or break significant laws. According to the filing, Diddy is now in jail for paying adult entertainers who consented to create private videos with his girlfriends, which were later viewed together. His lawyers contend that this is not illegal, and if it is, the law itself is unconstitutional. They also maintain that the videos, some shown during the trial, don't prove wrongdoing. They were personal, creative content protected by free speech. Meanwhile, Jaguar Wright believes there may be something suspicious about the evidence that was allowed in court.
That she dropped her lawsuit, he kicked out $20 million in 24 hours. Why would you do that if you did nothing wrong? Why? You were doing it out of the kindness of your heart? But why? Why? Just like Mr. Clayton. So that's what he's like, the crackhead. That Dave Chappelle used to play on this at the Clayton Big Steve. Looks just like that to me. I'm sorry, I don't care how magnificent you say your penis. I couldn't make it past the look of your face, so. Cassie would have needed to be high on all of the stuff and that baby oil and everything else, y'all, to be able to make it through you. Or maybe the diddler really chose him because he wanted to make sure there was somebody there that was uglier than him. You know, all of the things y'all have heard me say to y'all for all of this time, have you ever heard me get into any of these nasty details that you heard pop out through the trial?
Nah.
You ever hear me talk about the size of people's members, the nasty little... I pretty much kept it short, didn't I? I scared y'all exactly how trifling and nasty it really was, did I not? I mean, considering I discussing all of this stuff, I think I gave it a lot of grace. And yet I was still very accurate about everything that I said was happening, except for the whole idea that, oh, celebrities, other celebrities were there, and this only happened with these couple of people, and da-da-da-da-da. And so we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance, and the only people that were on it were these couple people.
So the question, Jag, is, do you feel the feds, the prosecution, put on a good case? Did you believe they put their best foot forward, or maybe they rushed things, or maybe they didn't do their due diligence in certain areas?
I think, considering what's going on with the Epstein list right now.
Ever. Both women testified that Diddy threatened to release the videos if they didn't comply, leaving them feeling humiliated, frightened, and powerless. In addition to requesting a new trial, Diddy's lawyers have filed a motion asking the judge to release him on $50 million bail until sentencing. They argue he poses no danger and is unlikely to flee, but the judge has previously denied bail, citing his history of violent behavior.
Yeah.
You saw how that turned out.
Yeah, no, guilty.
That's why they do it. To make you an example. To remind you what they're willing to do to keep things the way they want them. It's intimidation. Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for. You can try to get a special prosecutor. They'll just pay somebody to reassign him to another case.
He previously requested bail. Several individuals, including Cassie Ventura, submitted letters to the judge expressing that they would feel unsafe if Diddy were released. Currently, his sentencing is set for October 3rd. He has been held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center since his arrest in Manhattan in September 2024. Although Diddy was convicted in federal court last month, former President Donald Trump has stated he still considers him somewhat innocent, reflecting the apparent history between the two.